Welcome back into the last segment of the week, the Sportsmemo NFL Every Game on the Board podcast. We're doing the bottom half in this segment with our guest, Robbie Veno. Rob, welcome in. How are you?
I am great today, Drew. Looking forward to the weekend. We were just talking off air a little bit how these Fridays just keep zipping right by us. It seems like we're doing a Friday podcast every 24 hours almost.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. College football, what? You said 90 teams season ends next week, so it's already coming to an end as far as the regular season goes. You got to play up on sportsmemo.com going tonight. We're talking Friday night action. Typing in Friday 9 as a coupon code, you can get it for just $9. And Robbie has been really good on his best bets. College football totals going 31-15, 67% on the year. Like we said, we're coming to the end of the regular season. He's still hitting at a really good clip here. So check out sportsmemo.com for Robbie's best action. He's loaded on Saturday as well. And guys, we just dropped the 1 year all access price, $750 worth of savings. You can get every play in every sport with Robbie Veno for just $9.99. That's $2.74 a day. So check that out at sportsmemo.com. It's only good for Friday. But yeah, Robbie, let's get into these games. We got every game on the board. NFL to finish it up for the week of podcast. 463-464 Houston at Washington. Looks like the Texans laying 3 on the highway, 42 the total, Robbie.
Yeah, good spot for the Texans as far as health and rest is concerned, Drew. They get the bye week last week. You know, they headed into the bye week red hot, 6-0 straight up, 4-1-1 against the spread. I think that the bye week obviously would help Demaryius Thomas integrate into that offense. Remember, they got him from Denver right before they played Denver. Had the week before the bye. So now coming out of it with the extra week to prepare, I think that the receiving core should be in pretty good shape here. You still have the problems for Washington and that offensive line so banged up. They win last week. I know there was a pretty big push on Tampa, partly due to the Washington offensive line injuries. Didn't work out. Washington wins 16-3. But the Redskins offensive line against the Houston pass rush, this could be a significant problem for the Redskins in this game. J.J. Watt, Clowney, and company should get to the quarterback here. Alex Smith mobile, but I think there'll be pressure applied. Washington really needs to get some kind of ground game going in this one. Their defense was absolutely torched last week. We just talked about how they won 16-3. But they gave up 501 total yards. Somehow Tampa Bay, I mean, I saw a couple of tidbits on how that's the first time ever anybody's gone over 500 yards and only scored 3 points. Absolutely amazing. But if Washington puts up that kind of defensive effort this week, they're going to be in some big trouble. We're looking at Houston here, only laying 3 points. Obviously that Washington win against Tampa, Drew, could be considered fraudulent in some instances. So I think that Houston's probably the right side here. I think you could lay the 3. Obviously, the road's not going to affect them. The weather, when we were on yesterday for college football, and I was in the middle of a snow and ice storm here outside of Philadelphia, but the weather really is going to pick up nicely on the East Coast for Saturday and Sunday. So no real problems there. Houston outdoors in Washington in November might be a problem if the weather was bad, but it's not going to be. So to me, the Texans look like the good side here.
Robbie, we got 465-466 Tampa Bay at the New York Giants, 52.5 the total, with the Giants laying 1.5 at home.
I don't know. I watched that game Monday night, and obviously the Giants pull it out in the end, and I listened to Joe Tessitore go absolutely crazy, proclaiming Eli's back. Great late drive. None of that's true, Drew. Obviously, that's just a lead announcer getting overexcited. But it did trickle a little into the next day. We saw a lot of talk about, Eli Manning, great game-winning drive. Eli Manning is Eli Manning. Forget about what happened at the end of that game. If he gets time to throw the football, and you and I had that game as part of the podcast last week, and I know in the analysis I had thought that he might get that extra bit of time against the San Francisco pass rush. He did. He, led the team down the field to the game-winning drive and had a decent day. Against Tampa Bay, he's likely to get a lot of time as well. Now, Gerald McCoy back in the fold last week, and the Tampa defense had a pretty good day against a depleted Washington offensive line. But I think Manning gets time here. Tampa Bay's defense has been rotten all season long. No reason to think it's going to change here against Odell Beckham and Sterling Shepard and that pass receiving core. Expect the Giants to score their share of points, but the problem for them is going to come on the other side where, I tell you what, there's just no way if Tampa puts up another 500 yards, they're only going to score 3 points. And the Giant defense really doesn't have much in the way of resistance to stop them. This total, 52 opener, down to 51.5, and then bump back up to 52. It looks like it might get even higher, Drew. We're still here on Friday. I wouldn't be surprised if we see 52.5, 53. But remember, if you're playing these totals, all those numbers, once you get over 50, they're all key. 51, 52, 53. Every time you cross, especially 51 and 52, it gets a little bit harder. So if you like the total here, I'd get involved now. I don't see it going down any. You'd much rather, if the game lands 28-24, you'd much rather walk out of there getting your money back than you would playing late and catching 52.5 and having a loser. Offensive battle, to me, I don't see either side really stopping one or the other.
Robbie, heading out west, we got Denver at the LA Chargers, 45.5 the total. Looks like the Chargers laying 7.
They are one of the best teams that's not, and they're getting more chatter around them now, Drew, but they have just very quietly gone about their business all season long. If you take a look at the AFC, and I know, Kansas City's been the star of the show so far this year in that conference, and Pittsburgh is coming on like crazy, and New England with Tom Brady is always going to be talked about in the mix for the AFC Championship game. But I tell you what, if you take those 3 teams and add San Diego in, the only team out of those 4 that plays real defense is the San Diego Chargers. They could be a handful in the playoffs. I've talked about it more than once, what I like about this team. Not only do they protect Phillip Rivers better this year, but they run the football much better this year. They found an element of the outside run game that's really come up big for them. Melvin Gordon's having a big year, and Phillip Rivers attacks downfield. There's no side-to-side nonsense with this team. They go down the field in chunks. Denver's already talking about – I saw a couple articles this week about how maybe they should just consider this year gone and start the rebuild by shipping Von Miller out. Crazy to think that at this point in the season the team would be thinking that way. Of course, that's just beat reporters and writers speculating on what Denver should do, but it has gone downhill quickly for them. Case Keenum has not been what John Elway projected he might be as a starting quarterback here. To me, 7 looks awfully cheap, Drew. I don't know. The Broncos, pretty good defensively, but they're not great. There's certainly that unit is lesser than it's been in the past few years. And like I say, the LA Chargers are just relentless on offense, and they come at you on defense. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. When they get Joey Bosa back, they're going to be really, really tough. We had all thought that when he went down to start the season, the pass rush wouldn't get there. The pass rush has gotten there so far this season. Once he's ready to suit up, going to be in good shape. But I like him here. Chargers at home in front of nobody because nobody shows up to these games. So, it's not much of a crowd effect to help them out. But Phillip Rivers has ignored all of that and played real well this year. I like LA -7.
Robbie, we got an ugly one, a 1 p.m. Pacific kick. Oakland at Arizona, 41 the total. Looks like the Cardinals laying 5.5 at home.
It's really difficult, Drew, to play Oakland in any way, shape, or form right now. Last week, fairly good defensive effort against the Chargers. Still results in a 20-6 loss. Chargers cover a double-digit number because Oakland just cannot move the football. John Gruden has really varied in sections of this season as to how they were going to play offense. He wanted to play offense as a ground and pound type team to start the season. Then he said Amari Cooper would be the centerpiece. Then they traded Amari Cooper. Then he brought Doug Martin out as the new centerpiece, and none of it's worked. Derek Carr's having a difficult time. The offensive line has suffered some significant injuries, which has hurt Derek Carr. He goes down 4 times last week. They lose 40 yards on 4 sacks last week against the LA Chargers. So as bad as Arizona is, I just think I see more of a light on the horizon where they're concerned. Josh Rosen has not been horrible. I mean, he's obviously been thrown into the fire with maybe the least amount of weaponry on offense in the NFL. They're the lowest scoring team, certainly only 13 points per game. 41 is the total here, and sometimes when you put 2 bad teams together, they wind up scoring against one another, but I don't know that that's the case here, Drew. I just think that these teams are so limited offensively. Off of what I saw Oakland do defensively last week, it looks like that's where they'll have to hang their hat for the rest of the year, and certainly Arizona's found that out throughout the season. Maybe under 41, a good way to go. As much as I dislike the Raiders, laying 5.5 with Arizona is as difficult for me as taking it. So probably leave the side alone. I might look at the total under.
Few games left here, Robbie, and just a reminder, guys, we did lower the 1-year all-access pass, $750 actually, just today, flash sale Friday. So you can jump on Robbie, Teddy, any of the Sports Memo handicappers for just $999. Get every single play and every single sport, no matter the designation of the play. That's all of them for just $999. That's $2.74 a day. Something to check out at sportsmemo.com. Also, coupon code Friday9 at checkout for Robbie's college football Friday night action tonight at sportsmemo.com. We got the Sunday. Well, it isn't the Sunday night game because of the flex scheduling. We got Pittsburgh at Jacksonville, 1 o'clock Eastern kickoff. Robbie, 4.5 or 5s. That's what the Steelers are laying on the road. 46.5 the total in Jacksonville.
Yeah, the Steelers talked about Houston's point spread records a little bit ago, Drew, the last few weeks. But Pittsburgh's as hot as anybody right now. 5-0 straight up, 5-0 against the spread, averaging over 35 points per game. The offense has really come into its own after struggling a little bit to start the season. And the way Jacksonville's playing defense, it's kind of hard to see that changing anytime soon. Last week, Jacksonville goes for over 400 offensively, but still lose to the Colts. Andrew Luck and company obviously have had a much better offensive season than they have had in the past, but they're not the Pittsburgh Steelers offense by any means. So I'd expect Jacksonville to have trouble again. The infighting that took place when they headed into the bye, I thought maybe coming out of the bye in a divisional matchup, this team would be ready to go, and we got what we got last week, a 29-26 loss. So I don't know that Jacksonville shakes this for the remainder of the season. For all who projected them to be to possibly dethrone the New England Patriots as the AFC representative in the Super Bowl, that seems to have gone out the window, and I don't know that they're even going to finish out as a 500 team the way things are going here. What was pretty good last week was their offense over 400 yards. Pittsburgh's played better defense but can still be attacked. When I look at Pittsburgh games, Drew, I always look from a totals perspective at the total over. Here we're staring at 47, and to me it doesn't seem that hard to get to 47 points in this game. Jacksonville's still suffering defensive injuries. Now, A.J. Boye may come back to play corner for them this week. We'll see. He's an important cog in that defense, but they just have not been the same pass rush-wise, anything-wise. I think Pittsburgh attacks on all 3 levels makes it real difficult for Jacksonville here. Laying 5 on the road, not always easy, but it is a dead number. Maybe you could get there with the Steelers, but I think over is probably the best play here. I think that Jacksonville's going to find themselves with Leonard Fournette back in the lineup, going to find themselves reverting to primarily an offensive-based team rather than a defensive-based team. And when you match up with Pittsburgh, a couple offenses that can move the football against one another, I think that all adds up to an over.
Robbie, we got the Monday Nighter. 475-476 Kansas City at the LA Rams, I believe, in Los Angeles due to Mexico City, I guess, not working out. 63 the total, 3.5. Yeah, pretty much across the board. All the threes are gone. It is 3.5. LA Rams laying at home. What's your view on the Monday Nighter, Robbie?
Well, it probably helps the Rams for sure. And now I just got finished saying, and we talked about this last week, when the Rams played Green Bay, their last home game, we saw that they played Seattle home last week as well, but there's not a heck of a lot of Rams support there. But still better for them to be on their home field and neutral in Mexico City. The defense has gone by the wayside. These two teams really look like mirror images of one another at this point in time, Drew. A lot of offense, little on the defensive side, even though LA went and signed so many big names. Has not panned out, whether it be pass rush, whether it be covering receivers. Just have issues all over the place. Two of the best offensive minds in NFL football. And you have a total of 63, which I believe, I don't have records going back that far, but I believe I heard that it is the highest NFL game total in the history of the NFL, so I have to go back and look at that. But it's all justified. 63 in this game, certainly justified. You would have to go 31 gets you to 62, and these two teams really don't have a lot of trouble getting to 31, but I have a lot of trouble playing over 63 in an NFL game for sure, whether it be between two potent offenses like these or not. There's not a lot of familiarity between these two, which would suggest that they can kind of have their way on offense. The one person that may be able to help out a little bit here would be Rams corner Marcus Peters, who played for the Chiefs and does know the personnel somewhat. I'd give the Rams a hair bit of an edge here, but betting against Patrick Mahomes, home or road, has not been a good deal at all so far this season. Like I said, it's a high-scoring game, but real difficult for me to get to over 64. I'll have to continue looking at that one, Drew, to see if I can find something as far as a side play is concerned, because I don't think I'll be involved in that total.
Yeah, you bring up Patrick Mahomes. What Kansas City's, depending what number you're recording it at, 8-2 ATS compared to the Rams, just 4-5 ATS. Both teams 9-1. Straight up. Robbie, I got a conspiracy theory I'd like to get your opinion on.
Sure.
Into this?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So Kansas City, LA Rams, supposed to play in Mexico City. But when they planned this, I'm sure the NFL did not think Kansas City and the LA Rams would be both 9-1 in the premier, game for this week in the NFL. And of course, the field isn't up to snuff of NFL standards. However, how much do you think it matters, money, location, eyeballs, whatever you want to put it at, that it's two 9-1 teams, the two big marquee teams now in the NFL, and they wanted to bring it back into the United States, put it at a home field for whatever reason? Do you think that they just kind of came up with the turf isn't good enough, and this could be a conspiracy theory worth looking into?
Boy, I'm not sure, because I have a theory of my own. When the NFL plays these games outside of the country, that they've been so desperate for so long to try and put a team outside of the States, that when they go there, whether it be London, whether it be Mexico City, that they really like to put on a show for the fans to try and sell the game. For that reason, for the most part, I look immediately at the over in those games, thinking, through that line of thinking, it would be put on a show, score some points. And it has. I don't have exact numbers in front of me, but I know for myself it's come up good far more often than not. To have that game in Mexico City with your two best teams, with a fireworks show display guaranteed, you would think they would want to have it there. Whether or not the field was good enough, I'm not sure. Apparently they used that field for a lot of other things aside from, let alone an NFL football game. So maybe it was torn up. But, I think if they had their chance, Drew, I think they wouldn't mind having that game in Mexico City. But here back in L.A., I'm sure as far as these two teams go, it's better for them. I know these teams don't like to travel outside of the country. It wrecks their schedule. They're so regimented. We'll see how it goes. But I would probably say that if they had their way, they probably would have rather had it in Mexico City, I think.
All right, so that puts an axe into my conspiracy theory then. There's no real reason for them not to want to have it there then.
Yeah, I just think that when they go overseas, they want to sell the game. Or when they go out of the country, they want to sell the game to these places. And what better game to sell than Rams-Chiefs? And we're talking, like we said before, a total of 63. You're going to get your fill of fun football. And I think that would be a major attraction to the NFL to have it outside the country where they're, like I say, they've been desperate to put a team outside of the States for a while now. So we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It could be a conspiracy. It could not. But that's my line of thinking on it.
And Robbie, what's keeping a team? Why isn't the NFL trying this? A team in London or a team in Mexico City? I mean, what's keeping that from happening?
I know that they've tried to kick the Jacksonville Jaguars to London for a while now, and their owner, seemingly the most willing to go, but I don't think that these players really want to go. It's got to be a dispute between the league and the players union, I would think. That would be holding it up. We'll see if they can negotiate something like that out. But it's been, to the best of my memory, Drew, it's probably 6 years now that we've seen these London games and this Mexico City game with the NFL trying to sell football outside the country. So I don't know, but I would think that it's probably a dispute between the league and the players union. Like I said before, you read a lot of players' quotes over the last few years, and they do not like packing their luggage and getting on a different time schedule and going to play these London games. So we'll see. I mean, it could happen in the future, but I think there's got to be further discussions between the two sides.
Yeah, maybe Mexico City would be better because I get the time travel. That makes it a lot tougher. So maybe Mexico City can be the answer. I'm not sure if it makes as much economic sense. Or maybe the Chargers, try it out for a year, see if it works. If it does, go ahead. If not, oh well, you don't lose too much. But Robbie,
send a grounds crew with them, Drew. Send that grounds crew to take care of that field in Mexico City.
Yeah, really. I don't know. I got to see some pictures, do a little more research before I jump on this conspiracy theory too much. But Robbie, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
You know what? Once again, the way we close every Friday podcast, Drew, just wishing the listeners best of luck this weekend. Hopefully everything we've done here throughout the week helps you or leads you to cashing more tickets than not. It's what we're here for. We're here to try and give you a couple of things that maybe you didn't know heading into the games and try and point you in the direction of winners. So good luck to everybody out there. Have a good weekend. Try and keep pace with everything that's going on. It has got to be 80 college basketball games again tonight. It's just crazy, Drew, to try and handle all of this. But fun time of year. Like I say, good luck to all the listeners.
Yeah, NFL, full force, college football as well. Robbie, bringing up college basketball. Great time to bet college basketball. So much for the odds makers to do. Can't emphasize that as much. If you like sports betting, looking into college basketball, check out Robbie's plays at sportsmemo.com. Full force in college football. Got the coupon code Friday9 for his play on Friday night for just $9. And guys, Flash Friday sale. We got full 1 year access, every play in every sport from Robbie, Veno, Teddy, any handicapper you want at sportsmemo.com for just $2.74 a day. That will last all day today, Friday at sportsmemo.com. To reiterate what Robbie said, best of luck with your bets, and we'll see you on Monday for the NFL opening line report.